Welcome to MMO Grinder Sidequest, where I take a look at early open or closed betas, subscription trials, and simpler titles, giving you a quick first impression. Today I'll be looking at Fall Guys, a game once dubbed the surprise hit of the summer that only lasted about 3 weeks in August. The fervor has vastly cooled, and the YouTube and Twitch gaming scene has traded off to a different game in the multiplayer bean people genre. So let's see if there's anything left to the absolutely high-energy, quick-burnt hype of this game. Graphics are a shiny, plastic play place world, void of much texture beyond rubbery, but they certainly convey the soft feel of the overall look. Characters are mostly featureless blob people with 2 black dots and a white circle to represent their face, and an oval bean-like body with spindly limbs and legs to properly convey their generally awkward and clumsy movements and lack of real agility, provided anyone's playing fair. The whole look is very much Wipeout, or Total Wipeout, or Takeshi's Castle, depending on which continent you live on, meant to invoke a physical but child-friendly game show. Still, not every effect gives 100%, as the creeping slime more often looks like a pink mist, especially when it's coating platforms to create a more slippery surface. Musically, the game also goes for high-energy tracks that are bubbly and fun. Some songs even give me more than a bit of a Splatoon vibe with some high-pitched nonsense lyrics. It's all pretty entertaining, but I tend to notice it gets drowned out by the game itself, as the Fall Guys themselves never really seem to shut up. It's not like they're all talking, but more of the squeaks and coos that they'll make as they do nearly anything, and when there's a cluster of them on screen, it tends to be all you really notice. I think this is one of those games that probably has people choosing their own music, since there's nothing you really have to listen to in order to succeed. No snipers in the bushes in this Battle Royale. So, despite being the general idea of a Battle Royale, as in being in constant competition with rarely any alliances until one person succeeds, it's played out in waves or stages. Each stage requires a win condition that must be met, and there's only so many that are allowed to complete it. In races, you run for the end until you qualify, unless the qualification quota is filled. And you're behind one guy when there's 29 others qualified, you'd better hope that he screws up or you're not moving on otherwise. For survival stages, you basically just hold on as long as you can, hoping everyone else screws up. These stages ramp up their difficulty until enough people have failed, with some exceptions allowing everyone to move on if enough time has passed. In team games, you realize this is a terrible idea as you're now forced to ally with a third of the players as a red, yellow, or blue team member, turning a once cutthroat competition into suddenly wishing that you could just fight everyone again, as your group fails at basic teamwork tasks that are impossible to win in solo. Nothing annoys me more than coming into the top 5 or 10 in races and other survival stages, only to then be thrown into a team game where I lose because no one else seems to know how to play it. No, wait, tail tag, that's worse. And Team Tail Tag is a blight upon humanity. Nothing like a game of don't bother playing until the last 10 seconds, because it won't matter how long you've had a tail on if someone takes it from you with a half second left on the clock. Finale stages can be any number of these other stage types, with the winner gaining a crown as the Battle Royale victor. Crowns can be used to unlock some of the rarer outfits from the shop and can't be purchased otherwise, but you can still earn a few just by gaining levels in the game. The Fall Guys, or Bean People, or what have you, don't really have many tricks in their arsenal. You move forward awkwardly, you jump awkwardly, dive forward awkwardly, and grab ledges and other players awkwardly. The latter most definitely being used to harass other players, as some will try to toss you off of edges, or guard the finish line and hold people back from winning, or just use their bulbous body to stand on a narrow passage and make sure no one else can cross. Dickishness finds a way. Of course, since it's a Battle Royale, the idea and appeal is playing in a field with a ton of characters at once, jerks or not. Each initial round starts at 60, so nothing like the usual 100 players, but still far above other games of this variety. There's no chat and no voice that'll make this fairly easy to avoid the more unpleasant individuals. Even more so when the devs realized that tying their character names to their Steam names led to people using Steam's extremely lax name policies to display all sorts of horrid things to these children. So that was quickly struck down in favor of labeling each character as Fall Guy insert 4-digit number. I also heard someone say it was to prevent stream sniping, but that number never changes and it's always labeled to you. It sure as hell isn't doing any favors for people looking to remain anonymous in-game while they're streaming. In its heyday, there was a lot of memes and smack talk. This was the in-game for less than a month, so getting the cooler skins, setting up entire streams and YouTube channels dedicated to the game, people bragging about the amount of crowns they had, or what stages that they could dominate others in, and I had honestly no idea why. I'd seen it explained in much better YouTube essay channels, bringing up the ease of entry for the game. The fact that extremely skilled players have nearly the same chance of victory due to the chaotic nature of this game itself, and its very limited move kit. It's not a game to let the strong always survive, and getting good enough was really all you needed to feel like you were holding your own. Victory isn't dependent on what gear you nabbed or being sneaky and quiet enough to get in a lucky hit when someone isn't paying full attention. You can only improve personally as you gain familiarity with the stages and gameplay. It feels a lot more casual player and child-friendly than most battle royales, and victory was so inconsequential in general that winning every match wasn't such a concern for most players. I could see why it had an audience, even if I have no idea why it had that kind of audience. So naturally the hackers showed up, and not even in subtle ways, like having slight movement speed edges or a far lower hitbox. I'm talking like asshats bolting from the starting line like they're Sonic the Hedgehog, or literally flying across platform-heavy stages. It was so rampant on PC that it straight up soured my experience heavily, and I wasn't even all that into the game in the first place. The game requires a $20 purchase, which, while cheaper than a lot of games, is still far more than you would expect for something like this, especially when there is a cash shop involved. Almost every battle royale is free to play nowadays, offering battle passes and limited cash shop items on a rotation. Fall Guys does the latter, but not the former, which seems odd to me, considering the fervor. It was a runaway success, and who knows what kind of numbers they could have pulled without a monetary entry barrier. Of course, if they felt that a purchase price was better than having admittedly predatory battle pass as an option, I can't fault them. It would be even better if they could more regularly start booting hackers, and they'd have to end up paying for another copy instead of just starting up a new account with no consequence. With the fervor dropping off this quickly, we'll see if they actually stick to this buy-to-play model though. Also, PS Plus owners, I'm well aware you guys got this for free, and you don't have a rampant hacker problem. Feel free to disregard all of this. Players are quick to compare this game to Mario Party, and I don't see it. I mean, these minigames are usually far longer, and the control doesn't change for any of these stages. Yet at the same time, I can see a point to that comparison. Mario Party is the mindset that you really need to enjoy this game. Some players are going to be far better at Game A versus Game B, reminding me of my military friends outright refusing to play certain minigames against me since I had them down to near perfection, while they would completely obliterate me at other games. But this clues into that proper mindset that you need to have to really get Fall Guys. You have to get mad, but in a fun way. Being overly and stupidly competitive in games like this is really the proper appeal. Again, winning a crown isn't really all that special. Getting a lucky path to the finish in a race doesn't necessarily mean you're a better player. And as long as everyone is on board, ready to talk smack, pretend that they're very upset, ham up their reactions on streams and videos, shout at each other about how badass their purple humanoid dog toy is compared to their friends, and all while fully understanding that this is utterly meaningless, that is the proper balance that you need to really have fun in Fall Guys. That's what people really mean when they say the game is better with friends. Of course, if you're unironically threatening bodily harm against your opponents, cursing non-stop in a blind rage, and occasionally having to chisel your controller out of the wall, definitely step the hell back. If you cannot get out of that mindset, this game is not, and will never be, for you. However, the proper mindset that I was speaking of is easily found in the game's current replacement flavor of the month, but that's not really an MMO grinder or Sidequest material kind of game, is it? This has been an MMO Grinder Sidequest, and it's time I logged out.